Hello, friends. In recent summers, there have been many wildfires. It's been very dry in California. It's always dry in the summer in Northern California, virtually, but more so in the last several years. And this particular year, it's particularly bad in terms of wildfires. And so many areas, many towns and rural areas have been evacuated, and people have sometimes had to leave with just hours or even minutes notice. And it has brought to mind a question that I've had for myself, but I'll also share it with you and ask the question of you, because it's not just a practical question, it's also a question of attitude. How portable is your life? In other words, if you or I had to move suddenly, or say in a few hours, say even in a few days or weeks, supposing we just had to move. There's been a terrible hurricane and now flooding in Louisiana around the New Orleans area. Terrible flooding in the New York area recently. And these things have a way of coming and going. There have been, where I grew up in the Midwest, tornadoes were an issue every summer. And there was a kind of a tornado season, and there would be incredible thunderstorms. I mean, they were breathtaking. They were beautiful. But sometimes they got us in the basement because the wind was going to be howling and it was just dangerous. And when you look at the devastation that those kinds of storms can cause and do cause, have caused, they often affect thousands, in some cases even millions of people. And those people have to go somewhere else in many cases. In the case of these hurricanes where the wind is going to be blowing 125, 150, or more, even 175 or 200 miles an hour. You can't survive in wind like that. And many structures cannot stand up to that kind of intensity. How easy is it to just uproot and move? Now, obviously, what we have in our homes, we're very attached to. We have furnishings, we have pictures, we have memorabilia, we have, all the trappings of our outward life tend to get sort of fixated in our home. It's very normal, it's very natural. So some of the answer to the question, how portable is your life, is a question of how attached are we to those things. But another question is just a question of mind. If I had to move, could I? Or would my life break? What if I had to leave on an hour's notice? I would have to make all kinds of difficult compromise choices. I'd have to load whatever I could load into my car, for example, and then get on the road along with thousands or maybe millions of other people, in a big traffic jam and drive to wherever I was going to drive to, and potentially not be able to come back, or certainly not be able to come back in the same way. In many cases, these disasters have burned houses to the ground. They've flooded whole areas, making the homes be condemned afterwards because of mold or because of damage. And so then we have to start over again. And obviously that's not this is not a fun subject. This is not a fizzy sort of subject. But it's a real one in the world that we live in. And I just get the feeling that what we're being asked to do is loosen our hold on the physical. I think of native cultures who have lived almost anywhere in the world. Seldom did they build big, elaborate structures that could be destroyed. Often what they lived in was very simple and could be replaced in a matter of days. Maybe it was the thatched huts on the beach. Maybe it was, you know, stone structures or living in caves or teepees or something like that, that very portable, very relatively easily replaced. Obviously, depending on the climate and the culture you live in, that may be more possible or less possible. But it's just helpful to ask that question, because all of us at one time or another, there's at least the potential sort of dangling out there that we might have to move because of whatever. We don't even know, whatever it may be. It's an uncomfortable thought, but it's a practical consideration. And to be able, even just mentally, sort of to try this on for size and ask ourselves, oh, what would I do? How would I do? How would I do? And to think, I think I would do okay, because I think I could disconnect, I could disentangle, I could live more simply if required to. I've watched older people and some younger people for whom the attachment to place and to the sort of outward structure of life has become so fixed and so powerful that any threat to it is basically a threat to their life, and their lives kind of break when they move, when they're forced to move in that kind of way. And it's tragic to me. So I will just close again by asking the question, and you can answer it for yourself. I'm not suggesting how you answer it, but how portable is your life? And kind of the corollary question is, could it be more portable? Namaste.